Rico, one of the board members, and I'm here to welcome people here in the center and out there in cyberspace. So we're going to start with our meditation. The first 15 minutes of our service is meditation. And here's the slide, the meditation you might want to think about in this first 15 minutes. Today, my life harmonizes with the song of one. We're all about music today, so take this as you meditate, and we'll be back in 15 minutes. morning again. Welcome back to the Center for Spiritual Living, Visalia. Thank you, Kevin, for that wonderful meditation music. I think he makes it up as he goes along, yes? He just composes it as he plays. It's amazing. So now is our meet and greet time, and it's time for people here to come in, get their coffee, and I hope you'll do the same out there that are listening in. And for the next 15 minutes, we'll be coming in, gathering, and then we'll be back at 10:30 to start the service. So we'll see you then. Good morning again, everybody. Let's take our seats. We're about ready to start the service. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Visalia, California. I'm Donna, one of the board members, and we're going to turn it over to the band.
Can't help it, God makes me wanna sing. Come on. Can't help it, God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. Woo! I'm loving every little thing. I can see the face of God in paupers and kings. We're all precious, none less or more. We got the same treasure in store. I'm living every little thing. Come on. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. I'm believing in my guiding light. No matter what comes, it always turns out right. I just dig right down into how I feel. Take a deep breath and grab the wheel. That's why I'm believing in my guiding light. Come on now. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. Makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. I'm rising into a higher place with the wind to my back and a smile upon my face. Now I'm living my dream a little more easy. It keeps getting easier to find my way. I'm rising to a higher place. Come on, everybody. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. One more time, guys, here we go. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! That was great. I love it when the band starts really moving and gets us awake, gets us going. So welcome again, everybody. Do we have anybody new? I don't see anybody new, but we have a few people who have just been new recently, so I'm glad you guys are back. So I don't think we have anything else. Let's go into the announcements. We have very few announcements today. The first one is we have a board meeting today at noon. Yay! Oh, Sheila's excited about that. It'll be right here. It'll also be, you can come in from the website. Just click on the button that says board meeting. And since we are looking for one new board member starting in March, if anybody's interested, you might want to come to a meeting and see what the meetings are all about. So everybody is welcome, 12 noon today. And Book of the Month is in the bookstore, and it's called Living the Science of Mind. It's a great book. I did a little review on it in the newsletter. It's short little clips of wonderful information. Whatever you want to look up, you can look up and see just a quick clip of it, not have to go through long explanations of Ernest Holmes, which half the time I don't understand. But this stuff, these things I understand very well. So I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Nan. She's going to give the last announcement.
This over to me so that I can talk about the class that's coming up. Now, this class is going to be very interesting. It's the Journey of the Soul, and it's a 6-week class. I can't wait to have many of you join us. You can sign up at the back table, talk to Janice, We're still determining if we're going to have it only on Zoom or if we'll do the sanctuary and Zoom at the same time in a hybrid version. That's going to be dependent on who signs up and how many people would like to do it that way. So be sure you get in touch with Janet or myself, sign up, and ask any questions that you'd like. It's a really interesting class. It's going to be something that's different and new. It's a new class that was created a couple of years ago. I think you'll really, really, really enjoy it. So I encourage you to join us in whatever form we may have for the class when we begin January 25th. It is a 6-week class, as I mentioned, and we will have a little bit of a break the week of the Vista Conference. That is February 20th to the 24th, I think. So everyone, I'll be attending that conference virtually, so we'll have a break that week, but it will be Wednesdays otherwise, and we'll finish in March. So we have that to look forward to. And now it's my great pleasure to be able to offer our inclusivity statement today. As you know, our inclusivity team gathers weekly, Monday afternoons at 1 p.m. Wait, I have to think about that. The time is on the calendar in our website because it's we used to have it at a certain time and now we've changed it. It's a 1 o'clock time. You can ask Carol and Janice again about that for the time. I still have a hard time with this East Coast, West Coast thing, you know, with the time frame, because I get a little bit boggled in there. So we meet once a week and we talk about things that have to do with diversity and inclusivity. We honor diversity at our center and we focus on inclusivity and how we can have everyone be part of a world that works for all. So this Sunday, the quote was selected by Carol Greening, and it's a quote from Pablo Casals, and it is, "Music is the divine way to tell beautiful, poetic things to the heart." I think that's such a beautiful thought, don't you? Such a beautiful thought. So now I'm going to turn this over to Sonia Hart, who is our virtual practitioner from Barbados, and she's going to do our affirmation and our opening treatment, and then we'll be back.
Good morning, PSL Visalia. Today's affirmation is, today, my life harmonizes with one song. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Today, my life harmonizes with the song of one. And I'm going to invite you to get centered, close your eyes if you choose to, or you can keep them open. Take a deep breath in. Just going within. Recognizing that God is the one source, the one power, one intelligence, one divine mind, one love, one abundance. God is the oneness of all bodies. I am a reflection of all that God is. I am one with this oneness. I am one with abundance, with love, with joy, with peace. Everything that God is, I am. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each and every one who's present here today, that we are all one. We're all one with God. We are divine sparks of this one. And so I speak my word now, knowing for each and every one present here that we are one. We're one in the divine mind. We're one in divine intelligence. We are one with all that is. And so I give thanks, gracious thanks, for the oneness that exists in all humanity. the oneness that exists in all divinity. And so I release this word, knowing that oneness is all greatness and so it is.
Right here, right now, gonna make a brand new start. Right here, right now, gonna make a change in my heart. Everything I need, I now receive, and it's done to me as I believe. Right here, right now, where I am. Okay, sing it with me. Here we go. Right here, right now, gonna make a brand new start. Right here, right now, gonna make a change in my heart. Everything I need, I now receive, and it's done unto me as I believe. Right here, right now, where I am. One more time, come on. Right here, right now, gonna make a brand new start. Right here, right now, gonna make a change in my heart. Everything I need, now I receive, and it's done unto me as I believe. Right here, right now, where I am. One more time, here we go. Right here, right now, where I am. Hey, right here, right now, where I am.
Well, good morning again. I'm so happy to be with you this morning. Here we are. This is our third Sunday in January. And I believe that we mentioned during our announcements, but I'm not 100% sure because I can't always see them right now, that I've started posting daily wisdom from Ernest Holmes on our center Facebook page Monday through Friday. Now, if you like the message, share it with your friends and family. And you can like our Facebook page and follow it for notifications of new postings. And the same thing holds true for our YouTube channel when you like it and subscribe to it. You're going to receive notices of new videos. And all of these things help us move forward with our purpose of being a beacon of light for all humanity, near and far. And all it takes is a click on your computer. Now, just how easy is that, huh? So right here, right now, you can start sharing all the good stuff that's going to be on Facebook and our YouTube channel with anybody and everybody that you think would love to enjoy it. And, you know, I bet some of those folks maybe don't even know that they'd want it. So throw it out there to them too. Well, this week, we're going to continue our new annual theme of Living Out Loud and our monthly theme of Root and Reboot. I'm using quotes from the book, Living the Science of Mind, on the daily Facebook posting. And the page number is included so you can review it at your leisure, and then you can let me know if it's useful and leave a comment when you read it. Last week, we talked about one universal voice and one song that sings through all of us, and that song is love. Now, what happens if we don't feel or hear a song of love playing in us? My talk title today, What's Your Internal Song?, takes a look at that and how we can install a new playlist. In our philosophy, we say, change your thinking, change your life. And that can be done, that can be easier said than done. Most of us have had years of input from many sources from the time we're born that teach us things that may not be in synchronicity with that inner voice and universal song in our heart. In fact, we can be subject to beliefs and thought systems that have been in the collective consciousness since the beginning of time. Most of us, though, are most familiar with that little inner voice of our ego that nags us, right? You know what I mean. It loves to tell us what's okay and what isn't okay. how we're going to be judged and what we are doing wrong, and a whole lot of other things that undermine our self-worth and value. You know, James Hollis, an American Jungian psychoanalyst, notes this: your ego prefers certainty to uncertainty, predictability over surprise, clarity over ambiguity. Your ego always wants to shroud over the barely audible murmurings of your heart. Those certain and predictable things are the ones that we play over and over again. And those start being recorded from the day we're born. I don't know about any of you, but by the time I got to school, I had plenty of old tapes about how to be good and a litany of do this, don't do that, if you want to be approved and loved. And we learn that external valuation is more important than the intuition and connection to the divine spark and wisdom with which we're all born. Yet those barely audible murmurings of heart are often loudest and most clear when we're in our earliest years. That's when they start to get muffled and even drowned out by those louder, older, supposedly wiser voices around us who teach us the internal songs of poor self-esteem and worth. You know, I remember being a very young kiddo, and I was sitting in my grandma's kitchen working on a page in a new coloring book with a brand new set of crayons that had a rainbow of colors in the box. It was really exciting because it had colors that I had never seen before to use in my coloring book. When I looked at the color and then at the outline in the coloring book, I knew exactly where that color should go. I was happily coloring with all these magnificent colors, and suddenly my aunt came out of nowhere and told me that I was doing it all wrong. First of all, the colors didn't belong in the drawing, and second, I was way outside the lines. Well, I had drawn outside the lines because my inner wisdom and inner vision told me that the lines weren't important to the color that belonged in that part of the picture. I wasn't going to debate that with her because she was kind of a mean-spirited person anyway, and she definitely succeeded in squelching my coloring and making me feel stupid. There was no room for debate there. After she left the house, my grandpa came home, and he asked me how I was liking my new coloring book. And he looked at the two pictures I had colored, and he told me that they were just beautiful. And I told him that I hadn't done them right because I was supposed to stay inside the drawing lines, as Aunt Annie had told me. And I told him and Grandma that I was so very sorry for making a mess of my new coloring book. And neither one of them said very much, but they decided we should go to Dairy Queen and get an ice cream cone and just look at colors along the way, wherever we might see them. Very wisely, as we traveled to the ice cream, Grandpa pointed out how the sky had different shades of blue in it if I looked closely, and neither the sky nor those variations had lines in them. The clouds had white, but some of those were different too because of the shadows underneath. So there were various shades of white. He pointed out lawns along the way that had other shades of green and brown that had no lines either. And when we stopped for the ice cream, there was a parking area where there were trees and some shrubs alongside. After we all got our ice cream, we walked along the side, and he and Grandma pointed out that the leaves on the trees were not only different shades of colors, but some weren't all exactly the same size either. Mostly had the same shape, but they weren't all exactly the same size. So he and Grandma talked about how some things were important to keep in specific lines and designs. And when they planted the big garden every year, they were sure to make room for everything they wanted to grow and make special lines of seeds for each thing they wanted to plant. And the same thing happened when Grandma would sew clothes and cut the cloth from a pattern that she had pinned on it. And we laughed about how hard it would be to sew those things if the shapes didn't fit together right, like sewing in a sleeve to a pant leg. Well, when we got home, they got out the coloring book and the crayons again and told me to pick any one of the pictures in it and color in it the way I saw the crayons look to belong. And while I was happily doing that, I could hear my internal song of freedom and joy singing loud and clear. You know, those wonderful folks honored the audible murmurings of my heart, my internal song, and helped me learn to listen to it. Of course, as I got older, I forgot most of that lesson. And I never did venture into making art much because there was still that little kid's ego voice in me that said I didn't know how and I wouldn't do it right anyway. As life moved along, there were many sad songs that became my inner playlist. Sometimes the sadder, the better. And I bet many of us have old sad songs, and some of them we don't even realize we're playing over and over and over again. We often talk of those old tapes that run through our minds, as I mentioned. Old voices of a parent, a teacher, or another controlling family member who was trying to guide us in our youth, however unskillfully that may have been. Sometimes it's the voice of a partner or a spouse that criticizes and judges us all the time. Sometimes it's the religious teachings we were raised with that gave us a set of rules that we had to live by, that were incongruous to what the murmurings in our hearts told us when we might be quiet long enough to listen. Joan Chittister notes in her book, In Search of Belief, the weakness in religious life that rides on rules and regulations, definitions and doctrines, is that it knows only as much of God as authority defines for it. People who rely only on predigested answers know the rituals and canons of the faith, perhaps, but they may know far too little of the God who dwells within them. They look outside themselves for answers to the spiritual life and bind God to bargains that God never made. They miss the God who is everywhere. Now, eventually, some catalyst, large or small, occurs and provides us with an urge to hear a new song. Mark Nepo relates this story about a young man who was a divinity student in his book, The Book of Awakening. I've mentioned before that that book is a very fine book to read if you're of the mind to do that. So there was this young man who was a divinity student, and he was stricken with polio. From somewhere deep within him came an unlikely voice calling him to, of all things, dance. Well, with great difficulty, he quit divinity school and began to dance, and slowly and miraculously, he not only regained the use of his legs, but went on to become one of the fathers of modern dance. That's the story of Ted Shawn. And it is compelling for us to realize that studying God did not heal him. Embodying God did. The fact of Ted Shawn's miracle shows us that dance, in all its forms, is theology lived. This leads us all to the inescapable act of living out what is kept in, of daring to breathe in muscle and bone what we know and feel and believe again and again. Now, just as for Ted, that new song begins to incubate within us, urging us to listen for guidance and inspiration. Many of us find religious science as we begin to long for a better understanding of who and what we really are in the bigger picture of life. And in our philosophy, we come to realize that these old songs, the thoughts and beliefs we've acquired and sustained through habit, repeatedly create our life experiences. That may be beneficial, or it may be a detriment to living a life filled with joy and love. We may have become accustomed to living small and not living out loud. When we think and believe we are impoverished, we may limit our possibilities. Knowing there is only abundance, we open our God mind to a bigger idea that interrupts any previous beliefs of lack. When we think and believe in illness and disease, we may focus on and expand that experience in our lives. As we consider health, we align our body, mind, and spirit, bringing a greater sense of possibility. And we learn to live in an expanded awareness of possibility. When we think and believe we are loveless, we crowd out friendships and relationships from our lives. As we recognize our oneness with the divine and our part in that vast ocean of life, we reach into the realm of possibility and see love and beauty everywhere. As we recognize what is already here, we expand our experience of love and beauty in our own lives. And we begin to understand that we can change our life by changing our thoughts and beliefs. In our philosophy, we use a term called mental equivalent to express what new thoughts and ideas we choose to bring into our life experience. Dr. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, page 306, the limit of our ability to demonstrate depends on our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires. For the law of correspondence works from the belief to the things. But it is within our power to provide a greater mental equivalent through the unfolding of consciousness. And this growth from within will finally lead to freedom. Now, that quote has a lot to unpack in it. Much of it has to do with our affirmative prayer called spiritual mind treatment. We recognize there's only one mind, and that mind is in us, and we are in it, and we are always one with it. The term demonstration is what we call something that appears in our life as an answer to our physical manifestation of our prayer. The spiritual law of correspondence originates in an old Hermetic esoteric law, as above, so below. Or, paraphrasing Emanuel Swedenborg, everything happening in heaven has a mirror image happening on earth. Now, in our philosophy, we don't see spirit or heaven as something separate from us. Rather, we exist in it, and that divine spark exists within each of us. And heaven is within us to the extent that we understand our true nature. The law of correspondence works by creating and manifesting that which we think or believe. Now, mental equivalent might be a funny term. It sounds a bit mathematical, but in reality, it's just a thought that is a mental picture of our beliefs. So we need to consider what our mental equivalent is when we are working to activate our conscious mind and create something new in our life. We may say we want a new house, but spirit may have a much bigger idea than anything we could imagine. So what we treat for is not so much the new house as what it represents. Perhaps that's safety and security. Maybe it's a family. It could be refuge or retreat. It could be comfort. Whatever home means and feels like to you, be sure to include that in your affirmative prayer. You may be tempted to think it's about the view, but what does a view mean to you from your home? Perhaps it means freedom or expansion. Consider deeply what it is that you want and how that feels, and have your mental equivalent and your thought and belief originate in that. Incidentally, there's a little tiny booklet in our bookstore called The Mental Equivalent by Emmett Fox that may be useful to you. It was part of the 2022 class we had called Mental Equivalence. If we're sold out, contact me directly and I will tell you how to get one. You can't get them on Amazon. They are sold by a special source. Excuse me, we've had lots of wind blowing here and I've got some allergy stuff going on, so I apologize for this little froggishness here. We have the ability to change all of our old sad songs to new ones of joy. And one of our other powerful tools is visualization. It is sometimes the first step we learn to take to perfect our mental equivalence. Now, Louisa Dijkstra writes, once you're clear on what you want, amplify it. Visualizing is also known as dreaming, but we're talking about much more than random dreaming. This isn't about just sitting around daydreaming. Only 5% of your brain is conscious. The other 95% is your autopilot brain. Impulses, urges, cravings, reactions, all of those come from your autopilot brain. And you can use visualization to reprogram your autopilot brain and create change in your life. Clear mental pictures reprogram your autopilot. We have the ability to train ourselves to be aware of our old beliefs and thoughts and exchange them for upgraded life-affirming ones. Our spiritual practice of affirmative prayer, or what we call spiritual mind treatment, is one of the most powerful we can use in releasing old songs that no longer serve us. We can use mental equivalence in our treatments and rebuild a new playlist of songs, beliefs, and thoughts that are uplifting, filled with love, joy, and freedom. And we can do that right here and right now. It's really quite simple. As Dr. Holmes says in The Science of Mind on page 279, we erase thought from consciousness by pouring in an opposite thought. You know, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day. Yesterday was his birthday, and it's a national holiday. More significantly, though, Dr. King is a perfect example of someone who listened to the murmurings of his heart. You know, during the less than 13 years of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership of the modern American civil rights movement from December of 1955 until April 4th of 1968, African Americans achieved more genuine progress toward racial equality in America than the previous 350 years had produced. That's a remarkable thought if you think about it. Dr. King is widely regarded as America's preeminent advocate of nonviolence and one of the greatest nonviolent leaders in world history. At the age of 35, he was the youngest man to have received the Nobel Peace Prize. Just take a moment right now and try to imagine a world without Dr. King listening to the universal song of love in his heart. What if Dr. King listened only to the folks who said he couldn't do whatever he dreamed? I think it'd be a different world today. I don't think we all have to be Dr. Kings or Mother Teresa's or Gandhi's or other well-known spiritual and humanitarian leaders throughout the ages. I do believe we have the capacity and the calling when we listen to the murmurings of our own heart. We can listen to the universal song of love within us, to live with a greater awareness of our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, and what we are really unconsciously creating in our own lives, because we're always creating, always. There's a power in this universe, and we can use it. So I invite each of us this week to be bold in our expression of life. Let's state clearly and with conviction that the one life is our life today, that the one voice sings clearly in our hearts, and that as we step forward, we do so confidently, knowing that everything that is necessary to reach its fullness in our individual and collective songs is revealed and brought before us. As we honor our internal song, let's remember these words of wisdom from the Tibetan Buddhist master monk, Shoyam Trungpa Rinpoche. He says, enlightenment is ego's ultimate disappointment. And enlightenment is knowing there is only love. And as I always say, love prevails. And so it is. And so now we'll have just a short prayer, a spiritual mind treatment, if you will, so that you can hear how this works. So I know that there is only one life. I know that life is God's life. I know that life is my life now. I know that it's the life of every being in this sanctuary, everyone who's in the sound of my voice, and everyone who is not. I know that that one life, that one power, that one presence, that divine intelligence moves in and through all creation. I know that it is good and very good, and that each of us is the embodiment of that divine spark of love. And so I call forth that love in every way, in every day, through each and every one of us, to co-create a world that works for all, a world that is just, filled with love, compassion, plenty, abundance. Everyone is fully supported. Peoples get together, and they make one huge humanity that is respectful and interactive and progressive. And I see a world that is wonderful, and I see a world that is filled with that one love. And as I speak this word, I know that I claim it, I declare it to be so, and I accept it. And it is with great, great thanksgiving in my heart that I release it into that law of mine that always says, yes, my beloveds, yes. And together we may say, and so it is. And now we have some more wonderful music from our band. So I'm turning it over to them for a moment, and then I'll be back. Now, this is one of my favorite songs anyway, so there you go.
I'm sure we're all familiar with this one, so feel free to sing along. One love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying, one love. Hear the children crying, one heart. Saying, let's give praise to the Lord and feel alright. Saying, let's get together and feel alright. Let them pass all their dirty remarks. One love, there is one question I'd love to ask. One heart, is there a place for the hopeless sinners?
One love,
Who has hurt all mankind just to save his own beliefs? I'm saying, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. See the children crying, one love, so it shall be in the end. One heart, let's give praise to the Lord and feel alright. Singing, let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. One love, so when the man comes, there will be no doom. One heart, have pity on those whose chances grow thinner. One love, there ain't no hiding place for the Father of creation. I'm singing, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel alright. Singing, one love, yeah, one heart, let's give praise to the Lord and feel alright. One more time singing, one love. What about the children? One heart, let's get together and feel alright. Singing, let's get together and feel all. One more time, children, say, let's get together and feel alright. Alright.
Hope and Kevin and Joe and Phil, we are so very blessed to have such wonderful music in our center. And I am so grateful for each of them for everything that they do to bring music to our lives, to do the work of the song internally and externally that we may play in our hearts all week. So now it's time for our conscious giving affirmation. And this is the time when we celebrate our prosperity, we give thanks, and we share our abundance. So I know that we have a prosperity affirmation, this conscious giving affirmation. And as we get it up on the wall here, I think it's there. So if you'd like to join me, I'm going to read it. I give thanks for the song of prosperity that hums through my life as I share with love. Now let's just say it together again. You can go ahead. I think we've got a little time lapse, but we're going to say it. I give thanks for the song of prosperity that hums through my life as I share with love. And ushers, if you would receive the gifts now. So as the ushers are receiving those gifts, I just want to bring to mind the understanding that we know about prosperity and abundance. We know that we live in the divine flow of abundance, that prosperity is always ours. We know that without question, the universe we live in is reciprocal. And that reciprocal universe returns to us that which we give out, and that which we give back returns again. What it gives to us, we give back. And always that return is 100-fold. So I know that these gifts of love that are given by everyone here are for the greatest good for our center. Now, If you're on Facebook, you can go to the donate button. You can also go to our website. If you're not in the sanctuary, you can donate on our website. You can also send a check or money order to our center if you like doing paper things, which is okay. Many of us do. And that's address is 117 South Locust Street, Visalia, California, 93292. That's just Center for Spiritual Living, Visalia, 117 South Locust, Visalia, California, 93292. All of the gifts keep us going. Every gift keeps us going. We are able to do our live stream because of those gifts. We have to have that kind of compensation to be able to continue our live stream. So if you're out there, we welcome your gifts and we encourage that. And again, I know that every gift that we receive is a blessing of love from the giver, and it's returned to them again 100-fold. So if the ushers have received the gifts, I'd like to just offer a prayer of thanksgiving. I bless these gifts. I know they do good work in the world. They do good work in our center. They do good work in our community. They are gifts of love from the heart of spirit that flow through each and every person's life. And then in the reciprocal nature of the divine, they must be returned 100-fold or more. So I bless these gifts. I give great thanks for everything that keeps our center going. And I release this word, I let it be, and so it is. And now it's time for our peace song. So I think this is when you all gather up on the floor down there, get around in a circle, if that's what you're of a mind to do. We want everybody to be comfortable. Hold hands if you like. Don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's up to you. And you'll see that the words will be up on the screen, so everybody can sing along as the band plays.
Now there is peace on earth. I know it begins with me. Now there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, this is my joyous song. Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. All right.
All right, this is the time that we get together. And if you're not familiar with this, stay tuned here because everybody will show you how we do it. So now, repeat after me if you're in the mood. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life. Now, life is in my mind,
Life is in my mind.
and life is in my body,
Life is in my body.
and it's in the body of my affairs.
And
All
it's
of
in
them.
the body of my affairs.
I think it.
I think it.
Ooh, and I feel it.
Ooh, I feel it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
Just the way that it is,
Just the way that it is.
and just the way that it is not.
Just the way that it is.
And together we can say, thank you, life.
Thank you, life. Woo.
And I will see you again next week. Remember, the board meeting happens at 12. And tune in on the Facebook page for the daily meditations. And tune in next week. Be there. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'll be here. Take care.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Sing it for me, children. One love. Sing it to me, children. One heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord and feel alright. Sing it. Let's get together and feel alright. Sing it for me, people. One love. Sing it for me, people. One heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Sing us in the center. One love. Over in Visalia. One heart. Let's give praise to the Lord and feel alright. Sing it, let's get together and feel alright. One more time for me, children. One love. Sing it for me, Sheila. One heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Sing it for me, baby. One love. Oh, sing it for me, people. One heart. Let's give praise to the Lord and feel alright.